All right, let's get going. Mila appropriately said this sort of feels like the old television show, The Dating Game. You're asking questions of three people, right? So really excited about this part of our agenda of just really hearing from our community and what you're going through and some of the opportunities and challenges that are in front of you. So thank you to the three of you for joining us today. This is fantastic. Why don't we just go down the line and introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. My name's Brian Hepburn. The title says President of Enterprise Business at Optum. That's a new brand. Some people may know us as Empowered Networks. We've been a Logic partner for a year and a half. We were acquired by Optum about 6 months ago, and kind of doing the same thing now, but on more of a global stage with other sister companies around the world.
Okay, welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mila Nigro. I'm from ATSG. I'm the Director of Operational Intelligence. What does that mean? Well, we take care of everything from our tools, our automation, process for the company, our global service desk, operations, training, knowledge, quality of service, kind of all under that umbrella. We've been with Logic Monitor for quite a long time, one of our most valued partners, and appreciate being here and being invited.
Thanks, Mila.
Hey, I'm Andy Meyer. I'm the VP of Professional Services for Gotham Technology Group. We're headquartered here in the Northeast. I've been with them for 16 years. We've been a Logic Monitor partner for over 5 years, and we're less of a resale partner, but more of a MSP that uses Logic Monitor as the foundation for all the managed services we provide to our customers.
I think of you and Mila when I showed the graph of you're in good company. You guys are in the like 200 to 300.
200,
range.
yeah.
Exactly. We appreciate you taking the journey. Well, let's jump right on in. And so I'll ask Mila and Eddie a question first. What trends are you seeing in your marketplace, and what trends are you seeing in your business in regards to offering managed services, and what are some of the opportunities that those trends are creating for you? Mila, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, some of the biggest trends we're seeing from the client side of things is everybody wants some level of integration, automation, tools working together. Whether it's from a monitoring perspective or ticketing, AI integration, systems, less points of failure. I think, probably the future frontier, more around auto remediation. People starting to look for how do we solve things with AI, but in a human way, where the interfaces, and whether it's the technicians that are using the software or the customer, that don't have those clunky experiences we're used to with automated systems. You go back to the old days with the phone systems and IVRs, and the key to all that's going to be eliminating that barrier. So technology is expanding, automated tools, automated solutions, the easy button.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think the trends we're seeing, certainly the Great Resignation's driving a lot of our services that are being adopted. Customers are getting tired of recruiting the smartest people to come in and run their operations, only to have them leave in a year or two, after getting a better offer somewhere. They have no stability, no continuity. We're able to really, deliver a very consolidated white glove kind of service to them. Again, we're doing more than just the monitoring end of it. Ours is more an operational assistance. We're focused on end user computing, cloud, and cybersecurity, right? So having those admin type people are hard to find, hard to keep, and the best ones want to do something different than just, the normal day-to-day stuff. So we fill that gap very nicely, and that's really, it's just gotten all that much better since the pandemic. If there was an upside, that's
so
what
the
it
Great
is.
Resignation, you've actually seen that play out in some of the customers and markets that you guys are serving.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and it's been, people are able to, like you said, I can live on an island and still work for Bank of America, and
Yeah.
they don't care. J.P. Morgan Chase might care because they want you in the office, but the other people, there's so many opportunities for that. I actually have an engineer who asked, they were going to take a different job. They said, or you can let me go travel around the world, work from wherever I am. I promise I'm going to work all my hours during work hours in the eastern U.S. where the customer is, and they were going to go, and we let them do it. And you know what? It worked. It was
Nice.
fine. It was great for them. It was good. It was okay for us. It was great for the customer. And so you just got to be open-minded to these things.
Great. Well, Brian, shifting over to you, your organization provides excellent consulting, tech services. You're a great partner with Logic Monitor. Tell me about some of the trends that you're seeing and the demands that you're seeing from your customers.
Yeah, we're a little different in that we're a resale partner,
Right.
not in the MSP space today, and our customers tend to be very large enterprises across North America. With large enterprise and monitoring, the typical large enterprise account has a very complex stack of monitoring tools. We did a monitoring tools assessment actually with a financial services company here in New York a few years ago, and they had over 250 different monitoring tools in their stack. So I'd say that the trend we're seeing right now, well, maybe the point I'd make before that is, more tools does not equal better monitoring, quite the opposite. So the trend
Good
we're
point.
seeing is our customers are really talking to us about simplification. They want to reduce the number of tools they have, and they also want to figure out how to collaborate more, because when you have dozens and dozens of tools, you tend to have little fiefdoms within the organization, within the enterprise, and people not working together. So getting eyes on the same consolidated view seems to be where everyone wants to go right now in the enterprise.
That has to be a record, 200 plus tools.
That's the most we've seen. Yeah, it's a very large FI.
I've seen like 80, 85, 87 tools, but I've never seen that many. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, that's great. Well, Mila, back over to you. When you, within the MSP space, there's been a ton of acceleration happening and tons of mergers and acquisitions that are happening. Why do you think that's happening, and how is your business responding to that?
I think the first part of it is demand. Companies are looking for solutions. Not every company can afford a CIO, or some companies don't know how to do IT.
That's a good point,
We handle
yeah.
the whole gambit from IT experts, to people like, we don't know what we're doing, help us, so the market's expanding. COVID, I think, as you mentioned, has accelerated that. Then you have the whole M&A side of things, where mergers and acquisitions, where we've had rapid expansion. So looking at companies that may be in the same field, don't know how to quite do it. A philosophy change we had to make was scalability. Everything we did is gone from every thought, every integration, every tool we use. How does it scale times 1,000? How if we implement this, how does this affect everything else? Process, systems, and because we have those things in place, you get a little better at it. You could do it cheaper. You avoid a lot of pitfalls at some of the smaller companies where they end up failing as they grow. They don't know how to adjust. They make some mistakes, financial. I've seen companies go under just because of licensing, not planning properly. So in one end, you're solving these costs and problems for your clients. But in the space, I think why you're seeing so much consolidation is some people have an edge because they're thinking about that expandability, plug and play. How quick can we set up Logic Monitor? It's a part of every plan with every client. Even if they're using a different tool for monitoring, we go in there. How do we get them on Logic Monitor? That's that partnership. And we're going to probably talk about that a little later, but is part of our growth. With Logic Monitor.
And I think your business has made 3 acquisitions
Yeah,
this year.
and we got more coming. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so this is
you
a
know,
very real-time
yeah, so
situation.
some of it's like a struggling MSP that we say, hey, if they're using our tools, our systems, our procedures, you know, they could be successful. In other areas, it's a technology. You know, they offer something to us that makes us better. You know, like we recently acquired a company called DingCloud, which is in the space of you know, cloud workstations. You know, very good at Citrix stuff. So we brought them in to add that, and becomes part of our collective. We could offer more services. You know, so expandability is key to it all. You know, wide thinking from how you look at people, how you evaluate, how you score, how you look at yourselves, quality of service. You know, every decision you make, how does this scale? That's really the key to it all. And if you get good at that, you know, you could do it cheaper, better. And then the biggest challenge, how do you do that and still maintain that mom and pop relationship you have with your customers? And that's the hardest one to solve. As you grow and get big and become more corporate, I hate to say the word, how do you keep that intimacy? That's what, you know, the clients value, that relationship, you know, and which is something we've maintained with Logic Monitor throughout the whole time, you know. So that's why we're here.
Great, thank you. Andy, I'll come over to you. Frequent topic with MSPs is operational leverage. How do you create operational leverage in these uncertain times, these changing times? And on top of that, automation is always a key topic. So how do you view those topics, and how do you think about them, operational leverage and automation?
It's tough because operational leverage will come from efficiencies, right? And trying to cut costs or standard and be a little more rigid in what we need to do with our customers. You know, telling them, well, you have to do it this way, you have to have this type of environment. And most people don't want to hear that. They want you to bend to flex to them. So that's been, you know, striking a balance between those two things, having good processes, good procedures, good policy, but then also being flexible to individual customer needs, understanding what those are, and then, you know, really trying to embrace those and keep that relationship, right? And it depends what your corporate goals are. How big do you want to scale? And we have I win a lot of deals because customers hate their MSPs. And they hate their MSPs because they nickel and dime them to death, and nothing's included, and they have a lot of turnover. And those are challenges that I overcome by paying my people a lot of money. We charge a little bit more than the next guy, so we don't win every single deal. And we do more of a white glove type operation, and that might limit our growth over time, right? Because we're going to grow smart, and we're not going to lose customers along the way. I don't want to bleed customers in the name of growth. But, you know, because that can happen, right? The people who got you there, they don't like who you are anymore, right? And they're going to leave. So those types of challenges, plus keeping my staff engaged, informed, entertained, you know, well-fed, those are all real top-of-mind challenges for us.
In your staff meetings, talk to me more about automation. How does that come into how you guys think about how do you run your business, and also the product that you're going to deliver to your end customers?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of, again, what we do is very hands-on, kind of, we fix things, right? We're just not monitoring and alerting and letting you know. We want to get in there and help you fix things because that's what they're relying on us for. And the more we can automate that, you know, the better off it is for us. So we were born and raised as a Citrix partner, and the first support managed services offerings we had were level 2, level 3 support because Citrix is way too expensive to get that. And we give you a phone number and you had a block of time and you call us. That's evolved. Fast forward now where you have all-inclusive packages for our customers, right? All you can eat. We don't nickel and dime you for anything, but to take cost out for me as a business, automation's got to be key. And customers, you know, looking forward, certainly we want to do some self-healing stuff and resolution there. But we've invested in ServiceNow this past year to really kind of grow and mature our business. And Logic Monitor and ServiceNow play very nicely together. They really do. We've had a lot of success quieting the way we handled overnight stuff, having my own staff on call, right? We're a consulting services org. I don't have a 24/7 knock. And on the overnights, I have a call center, takes that call, and then we have a rotation schedule, and they call them. I hate waking those people up. They hate being woken up because they're senior folks, right? They really are. They'll resolve the problem quickly, but they're senior. And we've taken so much of that out. I got to say, probably 80% of what were false wake-ups, right? Like something, we got an alert on something that cleared itself. And having that type of, the scripting that we used between Logic Monitor and ServiceNow have really enabled us to quiet a lot of that noise and really get to what are critical alerts that we really need to act on within the SLAs we have with our customers.
Love
So
it.
we're looking for more types of things along those lines.
Great, great. Brian, let's come back to you. Your business is pretty exciting. As Brian mentioned, he was with was Empowered Networks before, and now is Optum. Really is a strong and emerging presence in the U.S., certainly up in Canada. We just met, about a month ago in Europe with our collective teams. But talk to me about your business and how are you planning on leveraging Logic Monitor's platform to help grow and accelerate your practice?
Yeah, so you're right. Our relationship with Logic Monitor has been focused in North America, where we've had great wins over here. We recently kicked off the partnership in the UK. We've got about 150 employees with Optum up in Leeds. And so we brought a bunch of them down and met with the Logic Monitor folks in London and kicked off the partnership and got that off to a good start. And we're just about to launch a similar partnership with our Optum team in Germany for the German-speaking countries as well with Logic Monitor. So part of my role is focusing on enterprise accounts globally, is taking our model here in North America that's working well for us and relationships like this one, and really leveraging that to grow internationally. So I think that's going to be interesting, and we can really hit the ground quickly in these other markets based on our learnings here. One of the things we're really excited about with Logic Monitor when we work with our enterprise customers is demonstrating the product and actually doing proof of values. We encourage doing POVs with our customers because A, there's a pretty high success rate when you do them, but B, we've got an unfair advantage over the other monitoring tools out there. We can show huge value in the first couple weeks. Other competitors, we were talking with Steve there at break earlier, they're 2 or 3 weeks and they're still trying to get set up. So we love being able to do that with our customers, and now with the move into APM and logs, we've got more exciting things in the toolkit to show off. And when you're talking to a CIO, it's nice to be able to pitch him new features and benefits with zero downtime. We can just add this into your solution. So
That's great. Brian reminded me of something that I think you'll hear it at some point in the next day and a half. But one of the success metrics that we measure our own sales teams on is when we're in a competitive deal, what is our proof of value to close win ratio? Industry standard is about 47 to 54%. Our direct sales teams are winning in the high 70s and in the mid 80% of the time. So it's basically we win the deal if we run an effective POV, which means that KPI is the same for you as well. Whenever you're showing it, it'll reflect very well in the marketplace. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that. Mila, back to you. 5 years, a partnership, 6 years, something like that?
I think so. Anthony, do you know how
Anthony, how long have we been together?
long? 7 years now.
Even longer than that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, longer than I've been around with the company.
Well, me too, apparently. I've been here 5.5, and it dates me. But one of the things that's been exciting to watch ATSG over the years is that your business has just taken off. You're doing some advanced things, some very sophisticated things, winning a lot of customers. But how has your partnership with Logic Monitor evolved over the years? And tell me how you leverage us and how we, again, evolved over the years.
Sure, yeah. I mean, people will use the word vendor, and we don't feel that way about Logic Monitor. Part of our team, We talk with Logic Monitor constantly. You know, Anthony Spadanuda is our lead engineer who runs our Logic Monitor services, and I have Adil Zia, who's our developer.
Are we on speed dial?
And yeah, you know,
Okay.
we're constantly talking. You know, we believe in the tool so much, so it's a part of every roadmap. You know, whether it's an acquisition or it's a new client, Logic Monitor is always in the conversation. You know, we believe in the tool. We know it's a better value. We know we can configure it. You know, we also are a ServiceNow Logic Monitor firm, and you know, and Adil handles a lot of those integrations. And every client gets a tenant in our ServiceNow, which gives us all these layers of customization and capability, and we integrate that with Logic Monitor as well. You know, so Logic Monitor, I just feel like a peer with them. You know, they're part of our team. We're part of theirs. They have no fear to get in front of a potential client, and you know, come on a call, demo the tool, and I feel like a big selling point is our relationship with Logic Monitor. To see how we are, you know, that relationship we have, how close we are, and how much we work together. You know, and Logic Monitor, we meet regularly. We tell them our concerns. You know, this is where we're going. This is what we're worried about in the future, and we think together. You know, I think we evolve together. You know,
Nice.
we say we're worried about this may come one day when we're doing this, and you know, or Logic Monitor come, well, this is where we're going, and we start thinking about how can we utilize that to give value for our customers. We believe in the tool. It's an easy sell. You know, if they're on a different monitoring tool, the question is how do we get them on Logic Monitor? And not because we're looking, you know, we're not in the business of ripping off our customers. It's all about value, and we believe there's a great value. It's the way we can configure it, the way we can give them reporting, access. You know, it serves a wide variety of industries. Our client base is from military to poli-sci, energy companies, you know, you name it, retail, you know, and it fits. You know, it fits with all of them, you know, and it may, you come across unique restrictions you got to deal with, you know, and Adil can attest, you know, what I do love about what we all do from the tools perspective, it's kind of like, you ever see the movie Apollo 13 when they're stuck in space and they're like, you got a hose and some duct tape and some bubble gum and we got to land, you know, the lander or whatever, you know, and that's every day. Because there's some unique integration challenge, some customer wants some unique thing. How do we do it in a valuable way that works with the least amount points of failure? And that's what I love with my job. We do that daily, and it's always a new challenge, and we manage to figure it out, you know, and it's because we have good tools. Tools say a lot about your company. That's how I see it personally, you know, and with Logic Monitor, you know, I feel it says a lot about us. We're proud of it.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you. Andy, coming over to you now. I watch a lot of our service providers throughout the year, and I hear about some of the big deals that they've won. And I notice your business, you won some pretty big deals recently with very, very marquee brands, right, that I'm sure had a plethora of options of where they could go to, but they chose to go with your practice. Yeah. So I'd like to learn more or hear from you about how do you create value? How do you create attachment to these prospects who could go anywhere? People would fight to be partnered with them, right? But you keep winning. So how do you create that value and that attachment?
Yeah, well, it's a many-layered thing. We do that with a lot of our services, right? We have some very, very large brand names. Some of the biggest banks in the world do business with us, retail brands, just household names. And we do it in a number of ways. We were born and raised as a consulting services organization, right? So we have smart people, and smart people trust smart people, right? And so that's it starts there. And having that relationship at a technical level with a customer to understand their needs. We don't get everything at those big brands. We get a little pocket of something, right? We've got, you know, KPMG is a customer, I'll throw that out there, and they have a number of different kind of initiatives that they use outside of their core consulting business, and they're really islands of technology that the home office really doesn't want to know about. They don't want to manage it. They don't want to do anything. But we're able to do that for them because we can conform to the security requirements of the large organizations, right? All of those compliance things that we have to go through in order to service them, we do that. So adding that technical value to, you know, the white glove approach to the managed services we provide, I think is really done, it really tells a great story. I think Logic Monitor's time to value is its number one competitive advantage, right? Is you can plug it in and turn it up, and within minutes, really, you're seeing good data, and the dashboarding is great for executives. The granularity is great for the technical folks. The multi-tenant nature of it is great for an MSP. The development cycles that you go through and the way that you listen to feedback is fantastic for us. It really, you customize the product. Basically, it feels like sometimes for us that you want it to work better for us, for Gotham, and that goes a long way. And the more passionately we can speak about the product and the solution and the platform, that's how we get those big brands, right? That's how we're getting those types of wins, because we're in it. We've been in it a long time. Great time, quick time to value. Some of those other monitoring solutions, it's a song that never ends, right? The implementation of that just goes on and on and on. And it's a great hit for us. So we're enjoying the relationship.
Great, thanks. Well, final question for the three of you, then we'll take a few questions from the audience. And Brian, I'll start with you, but as you think about, what are some key learnings that you would share with the audience of your business? And also tell us a little bit more about what's in store, what's next for your business.
Yeah, key learnings. I guess, we've worked with a lot of different partners over the years, vendor partners, and I think they've all been in different parts of the maturity spectrum as far as partnering go, yeah. And that's really important to us because everyone says they're partner oriented, and a few companies are, but most aren't.
That's right.
So I think it's been a good learning, sort of figuring out the cadence and how to work together with Logic Monitor effectively over the last year and a half. I think we're making really, really good progress there. And it's great to see the growing reliance of the LM business on partners. I think that's important for everyone in this room. So that's been great. As far as looking ahead for us in the business, ours is a high value add model, so we're going to try and help our customers as best we can. We talked about the Great Resignation. The way we help with that is, we really help with all of the integration work and implementation work, and take that, it's a pretty small lift with LM, but we try and take that off of our customers. We also, at Optum, we have some of our own intellectual property, some of our own offerings in areas that are very complementary to Logic Monitor. So we've got a product that helps with tracking security, like CVEs and P-certs, all the updates that are coming out every day from the different network vendors, and pulling that into the tool. So we've got that capability, which is a nice complement. We've got another tool that's a real good platform for doing extremely complex integration work, and the large enterprises all have a tangle of integrations that they need to deal with when they're changing monitoring platforms. So you're going to see more of those things from us, all with a goal of just simplifying things for our customers.
That's great. And I appreciate Brian's patience with partnering. You know where I'm going? So Brian had been reaching out to me for quite some time, and I never got his emails. And to him, he was looking like I'm just ignoring the guy. And I flew into Austin, and as I was sitting on the tarmac waiting for the plane to park, I get another email from Brian, but this time it comes through. And I see it, and I start scrolling down, and I keep seeing all these other messages Brian has sent to me that I never got. And I was like, man, we're trying to talk about partnership here, and he thinks I'll never respond to him. So I immediately got to my hotel room that night and called Brian. He's in a hotel room somewhere up in Canada, and we finally connected. But appreciate that, Brian. Glad to see we're doing a lot of good things together. Mila, same question for you.
Yeah, and that's like, what have we learned, right, in this space?
What have you learned, and what's next?
Yeah, we've learned to try and keep things as simple as possible. Identify what your customers need, and provide them solutions. You know, we do everything from security, monitoring, you know, service desk, network support, field services, on sites, you know, and, you know, you're always trying to get better and add more value. You know, customers don't, you know, the worst thing a customer could have someone in their office come in and, you know, your service desk stinks or the tool doesn't work. You know, people care about their data, where it sits, another benefit of Logic Monitor, you know. Security, you know, everything around the future is security. You know, people just want things to work that they don't have to think too hard about. You know, if you're looking to grow, think about your scalability. Every decision you make, think two ahead of that. You know, how does this affect me down the road? You know, finding good talent is key, you know, especially in the world of automation and development. You know, even though there's good tools out there, you know, they don't solve everything. You know, you need creative people who can figure certain situations out on a fly, you know, and you know, the biggest lesson is this is always a work in progress, what we do. IT is a work in progress. You never get there. You never get there. So if you go in with that expectation that one day, yeah, right? One day, we did it. No, it's just you did it, and then tomorrow it's the next thing already, or the next problem to solve, you know, and setting the right expectations, you know, having great partners, you know. I'll say it again, you know, the tools you use say a lot about you. It says what kind of quality you hold yourselves to, you know, and if you have them and you believe in them, they're easy to sell, you know. Because there's value you can show, and good partners work with you, and they grow with you, and that's the way it should be, you know. The future is going to be a lot of, you know, like I said, I mentioned earlier, for me, I see the auto remediation, you know. Not only are we going to detect the issue, it's going to get solved, you know, and not necessarily by a human being, and that's the future. That's the future, you know. Saving customers even more money, you know. So I'm excited, you know, excited about where we're going. We're in a huge growth phase, as Michael mentioned, and you know, so we're just adjusting to that and prepping for that, and try not to lose who we are in the process, because you can. And we've come close, you know, at times, and you know, it's a work in progress. You know, we're gonna keep working at it.
Great, thank you. Same question.
Yeah, I think it's what we've learned is customer comes first. Customer success is critical to our success. What we're looking forward to is certainly more growth, smarter growth. We're a smaller company. We don't have, you know, some of the resources that some others do, but we've been around a long time. We've got a great customer roster. We're looking forward to, you know, doing more automation, you know, growing our business that way. You know, our consulting business has stayed, it's probably about 5 to 10% growth year over year, and our managed services is running at about 40% growth year over year, which is just, it's overtaking the other business by leaps and bounds. I think it's going to be about 50-50 in our revenue split this year, and it's just going up. So we're looking to, you know, keep customers, right, and be smart about that, and continue to deliver the service, fill a need where others don't, and you know, make customers love us. Keeping a high retention rate is very important to me. 95% plus is our goal year over year, and we're hitting that so far. So we're pretty excited. Logic Monitor has been a great part of that.
Great, thank you. It's you said 40% year-over-year growth?
In our managed services
Your
space,
managed
yeah.
services. It's interesting, the year-over-year CAGR, if you will, compound annual growth rate for service providers, it always ranges between 9.7 and 11.4 any given year. Last year, of the 620 service providers we had, we looked at all the data, and they grew well over 30%, so 3 times the annual growth rate. So not surprised to hear that you've had growth rates like that. I'm glad that you are. Glad you are. Well, let's flip the microphone, and any questions for the panel? And we only have like 2 active microphones, so just speak loud, and yeah, that'll work.
Great job, guys. Very interesting information. I'm on Brian's team, so I know a little bit more about him than I do you folks.
Well, ask him a tough question.
What I'm really interested in is, I'm super excited about all the APM stuff that's coming out, tracing and all of that. Is your team focusing or looking at providing MSP around the application side as well, or is that something that...
Not yet, right? We're at the beginning of that road, right? No, we just started at, that's talking about the next frontier. Something we're definitely going to be getting in. Yeah.
Yeah, application uptime monitoring is big for us, for our some of our customers. Again, that kind of four-letter consulting agency does a lot of different things there, and they're, when they have customer-facing applications, I can
You
do
don't
without
need
this. When we have customer-facing applications like that, uptime is critical for that, and being able to do synthetic transactions and being able to do testing. We do that with some other platforms, but we'd love to see some of that in Logic Monitor and some of that built out a little further. I think that's really the key next, is to kind of simulate real user load. Load testers aren't really reliable. They work in a silo, but being able to do kind of continuous, not only performance management, but security testing as well, is where we're layering in our services.
Great. Follow up, please.
Is there a layer of auto instrumentation you guys do on the team, or is it up to the development teams on the other side to provide you with those?
Yeah, we're not doing any of that. Yeah, we're fully reliant on the vendors.
Understood.
Great. Other questions?
I'll shoot one. Full disclosure, I am a Logic Monitor employee, so this is not a planning question. I think this one's more for Mila, but I'll open it up to everyone. Your emphasis on eliminating repeat incidents by developing like a fully autonomous service desk type of thing using maybe action remediation powered by Logic
Yeah.
Monitor. How much of an emphasis on like the time study or the cost that it puts on your business, time wasted, money wasted on hitting a reset button that could easily be automated by some other measure?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could put a number on it, but it's a lot, it's definitely, and it's funny because we've investigated those spaces, and there's some good products coming, but nobody's figured it out on the level for an MSP yet, It's like, oh, this is promising, but you're going to need it to do this, this, and this if you want to be successful, Great idea. Keep going. We haven't been like, that's it. So a lot of interesting things going on, and lots of meetings and lots of products. So yeah, again, nobody wants to pick up the phone. Chat's a little better, email's easy, right? But then what do? We get an email if we need to talk to them. We spend the next, we're calling them and calling them and calling them, sending them email. If there was something on their machine that just fixed it, or something that automated and fixed the server, or and I don't know if you'll ever get 100% there, but some of the basic tasks, yeah, it's a value. Save a company some money too. Hey, so yeah, I think it's, haven't done the deep dive on the waste. Hard to calculate, but I'm sure it's exponential, to be honest.
Thanks, Casey. Any other questions? Sure. Hey, James.
So as it cuts down the demand for like a knock through automation capability on it, and you have your SOC, you mentioned cybersecurity, are you looking at integrating, say from a lower level of a knock and SOC together, and then have it spit it out to more advanced levels if it needs to?
I'm not sure I'm following your question.
In other words, so when you have two separate silo organizations, knock and SOC.
Yep.
But a lot of the alerts and such that can come down can sometimes correlate back and forth on that. So some of our customer sets that we're working with, we're starting to see merging up at the L1 level to be able to have that centralized team intercept that, and then need to then be able to spill out into an L2, L3 on either side. Again, that's improving the efficiency, since your L1 team on knock is going down almost to nothing, because you're getting the automation, you're doing the event correlation, you're doing the automation to prevent problems ahead of time. So I'm just curious whether you're seeing that in your side of the house.
Well, most of that is still theory. It's theoretical. We're heading that way. We're not really haven't implemented that. But what we use Arctic Wolf as our managed detection and response for our SOC as a service platform. I don't know if you know those guys, but they're basically unlimited SIM, event correlation, MDR, and then that feeds into our NOC and our SOC as the same place, same dashboards, different skill sets, right? That live in there, and they're talking to each other. And yes, sometimes we're looking forward to that world where we can potentially combine those two data streams and do some sort of correlation that leads to a remediation, right? Which is really what we want to be able to do. We're not there yet, but we're looking forward to that. We haven't spent, keeping people up seriously is hard enough these days. But yeah, we're taking opportunities for automation where we can. We've had some in the past, right? And we deal with a lot of end user stuff. We deal with a lot of operating system application level things. And when sometimes you auto remediate, you break stuff, right? Other stuff breaks. And having that kind of QA process built within the automation cycle is critical there, right? So we don't want to break something by thinking we're automating or automating a fix. So we're working through some of those things. We're trying to, like every business, trying to grow, trying to innovate at the same time. It doesn't always happen at rapid scale, especially when you're a privately held company. But that's my answer to that question.
Time for one more question. Anybody? Okay, well, to our guests, thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. And final presentation is Routes to Revenue with Mr. Steve Kahn. So Steve, come on up. Do you have the... Yeah, I got to turn it first. Do you have the clicker? Yeah, I do.
Check, 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 check. All right, great. Hello, everybody. So it's kind of chilly in here, isn't it? Yeah, it's funny. Yesterday, yesterday we got into the, Kenyon's freezing. Yesterday we got in here into the space, and anybody who was in New York yesterday, so it was like 95 degrees. I just flew in from Texas, and it was like 92. So I'm like, well, this is weird. But we got into this space, and there was like a sauna in here. I was like, oh, super nervous. We have to turn the AC on now and let it run all day long. And now it's pretty chilly. I'm sorry. That's just my Texas self talking. But so for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Steve Kahn. I'm a area VP of channel sales for North America, and I also run our GSI partnership group as well. By the way, I double-checked Mila. So I actually closed the first deal with ATSG in August of 2015, back when I was an account executive. And so, yeah, you were right, 7 years, just about then. But it also kind of reminded me, that was actually my first ever business trip to New York. I'd been to New York before, but my first ever business trip to New York. And we signed the deal with ATSG, and like the same week, there was an opportunity to go to Mount Sinai, which is a big healthcare customer here in New York, and do a joint presentation. And I think that was actually probably our first ever partner joint presentation at Logic Monitor's history, which was actually a lot of fun. We didn't win the deal, unfortunately. A lot to learn in that respect, but it was a really, really good time, and so we've been trying to foster that type of partnership since the early days. And keep in mind that was about 100 employees is how big we were back then. So some of you may know me. Oh, but I should say there is one partner in this room that is the longest standing partner in Logic Monitor's history. Does anybody know who that is? I know you know who that is. Mr. David Bond from London. Or just west of London. So we've been partners for, 11 years? Yeah. Yeah, our very first ever partner. Thanks so much for being here. Again, it's fantastic to see you and Dag. Dag was one of my first employees in London, and now he works for David. So anyway, great to have you guys here. So a little bit about me just before I get started into this presentation about routes to revenue. So you could say I got my started in monitoring about 20 years ago when I was a PFC in the Marine Corps in communications, and I was using some of our old legacy tools like What's Up Gold and PRTG to manage Marine Corps links to the Air Force satellites when we go out to Korea and do all these training events and whatnot. And I always feel like I feel the pain of legacy monitoring solutions because I'd have to be on night watch from midnight until 6 a.m. Waiting to see if the links would go down. And for whatever reason, What's Up Gold always used to have these weird sounds when links would go down. I'm not sure if anybody's used that tool before. And they'd be like, "Wabbit kick the bucket, Wabbit kick the bucket," and I'm like, I got nightmares for years about this stupid sound. So anyway, I've always been super impressed by what Logic Monitor does in the monitoring space, which is why I've been with the company for as long as I have. So we're going to talk about routes to revenue. We've talked a lot about today about the trends and you've heard the word evolution and evolving a ton from us today. That's because it's real and you guys are seeing it. So, you know, the evolution of the solutions provider has been absolutely accelerated. This isn't my graph, but you've seen obviously the trends from the last several decades. But we're right now from reseller to VAR to solution provider to really convergence and consolidation. That's what we're seeing a ton of right now. In fact, you can't go read a new tech rag without seeing an article about how we, you know, historical, you know, M&A and convergence in the market. So we've been talking about this, and quite frankly, what the impact is that the mix of revenues, the mix of services is taken in kind, right? So you see that, you know, we're increasing the revenue mix in services and products. We're doing the same in our services mix, and strategic value is increasing as well. So what it ultimately means is that there's really no more pure play channel partners. You know, there's nobody that's just product. It's product plus services, or it's nobody that's just MSP. You know, it's MSP plus services or product. It's always a combination of those two that we're seeing that are really winning the day. So multiple routes to revenue is the name of the game. Especially as you're seeing like more and more action in the private markets with, you know, emphasis on EBITDA and you know, recurring revenue. Those aspects need to be a part of your business, and delivering the services that bring you closer to the customer as well. So it really should come as no surprise that all of Lodge Monitor's top partners in terms of top line revenue are taking multiple routes to revenue. So what does that mean for us? It means that we have to be cognizant of that, and as a vendor partner, make sure that we are structured as such to support those multiple different routes to revenue for our partners, and also open up avenues that you may not be exploring today, and make sure that you are aware of and taking full advantage of the different programs that we have. So that's what this presentation really is about, and our guiding principles with this really are, you know, we want to be able to create seamless partner experiences. You know, everybody knows about the kind of friction that typically happens at the channel, and you can't ever not have friction, you know, or conflict or whatnot. It's just there's not really a possibility for that. But we are always committed to trying to continuously improve and make our experiences better and better, to facilitate frictionless selling. Also enabling our partners to win in observability. So you heard a lot this morning from Dinesh and throughout these presentations about where we're going in that space. You're going to hear a lot more tomorrow about from our product team and everybody else about what we're doing in observability. So we want to be positioned to enable our partners to win in observability. And then of course, always is a core value of Lodge Monitor is putting the customer at the center of everything. And that's really super important because some of the changes you'll start to see from Lodge Monitor over time through the end of this year is how do we remove that question of, you know, which team should be supporting based off of how the customer wants to consume. We shouldn't care how the customer wants to consume. If they want to consume via managed service, they want to consume directly with a VAR. They want to have services through their trusted advisor. For us, that should make no difference. We should have the programs, the capabilities, and the incentives for our sales team and go-to-market to be able to facilitate that. So the next three kind of sections we'll talk about are kind of three primary, you know, partnership opportunities or routes to revenue. So for some of you that are already fully involved in the reseller program, you know, you'll know a lot about this, but for MSPs, purely MSPs, you might learn something here and so on and so forth when we go through the other sections. But let's talk a little bit about our partner program in context. So two big things happened in 2019, 2020, which is historically for years and years and years, we always sold Lodge Monitor direct. As a SaaS company, it's pretty typical. Once we got bought by Vista Equity back in 2018, they took a look at, you know, a lot of the comps in the market, saw that there was a lot of channel revenue going through with some of the other comps, like for example, Datadog, they were doing a ton of business through AWS Marketplace as an example. And so the decision was made, we need to invest in a channel. We're not gonna get to our aggressive growth goals without doing indirect selling through channel partners. And so at that point, we were doing mostly more sell to the MSP community. There was a little pockets like we talked about with Mount Sinai, where we're going out there in the market and selling with MSPs. But there wasn't a program around that. So in 2020, we launched, more, as Michael put it, the go-to-market program with our channel, our MSP partners, to really start putting some more teeth behind how what we say in terms of supporting our MSPs and going to market, showing up with them, talking about, the aspects of our platform that makes their service differentiated. And then again, at that same time, we also launched our reseller program, which we didn't have anything before then. I was running enterprise sales at that time, but they tapped me to go build this channel program, and kind of see how we could really kind of take it off. It's been tremendous, in terms of the adoption out there in the channel market. So we really went from having about 30 to 35% of our total revenues was through MSPs and more of a sell-to motion. Now fast forward 2 years from these two steps, and now over 60% of our total revenues are coming through channel partners, and that's only going up from here. So if you think about it, that is really just the tip of the iceberg for us in terms of where we want to go, where we want to be with our channel business. I mean, ideally, I'm a little bit biased, but I'd like to have 100% of our revenues going through the channel, quite frankly. But that's been a really great uptick there. So a little bit of an introduction to our reseller program for those that aren't aware. This is a really, really attractive reseller program. And there's a few reasons why. One is our rev share model. So we wanted to ensure that we were winning together and we were in the same lane with our channel partners when we're going into competitive scenarios. So what we've structured was a rev share model that essentially breaks up reseller discount into 3 different buckets. So one is origination. So if you bring us a deal that we weren't already working, or that another partner wasn't already working, and that's done via deal registration, then that's a guaranteed 10% discount off of the customer price to the partner. And then furthermore, if you influence that deal during the sales cycle, and this is like bringing about meetings with stakeholders, this is objective third-party recommendations of the platform, or all sorts of different types of activities that take place during the sales cycle. The field sellers, our field sellers that are working those deals with you, they can award up to an additional 10% reseller discount off of that customer price. And then finally, for fulfillment, if you put that deal on your paper, again, the field can award an additional 5% on that reseller discount on that deal off the customer price. So what happens is, let's say you wind up at 18 or 20 or say 25% partner discount off the customer price. That discount does not shrink once you go through negotiations towards the end of that sales cycle. And unless of course we hit like a floor, which we typically don't. We sell on value, so we typically try to avoid that floor pricing floor. So 9.9 times out of 10, we're going to essentially have a scenario where you're going to confirm that partner discount, and that's going to be off the customer price. So if we're going skinny, we're going skinny together. That's essentially the outcome there. And keep in mind that this is on a SaaS subscription, which we typically are positioning 3-year agreements or longer. So if you take our enterprise ASP, which these days is about 120, 130K on enterprise ASP, and you combine that with up to 20, 25% rev share, for originated deals that you may be bringing us, and you extrapolate that out 3 years or more, and we also, by the way, have 115% net dollar retention as a company, which is gold standard. That means that this is a very lucrative opportunity for resale. So if you are a managed services provider that isn't taking advantage of our resale program today, I would advise you to consider it. It's a fantastic program. We've got a team. David Gruber's on the team, up here in the front. I've got 7 channel account managers nationwide, like David, who are embedded in our field sales teams, who are essentially working with our reseller partners day in, day out to connect them to opportunities, connect them to our target accounts, and work these deals through our pre-sales motions. We also have a co-sell model. So what this means is I don't need all of your sellers to go and be overnight experts in monitoring or selling Lodge Monitor. We have a fantastic field sales team and inside sales team who all go through medic training. They have gone through our specialist boot camps and so on and so forth. They know how to sell value, and quite frankly, they're really the best at selling Logic Monitor. In terms of the full sales cycle or pre-sales cycle. Now, some of our partners are coming in, knocking on the door of being that title of the best, which is fantastic. But what that means is that there's a lower barrier to entry in terms of being able to start a channel program or a reseller program with Launch Monitor. And so because we do have that co-sell model. So if you bring us a qualified opportunity, our field sales team or inside sales team will run that opportunity with you through to the end during the POV process, so on and so forth, which is great. So you can get started very quickly. Next, with regards to our partner portal, so we do offer that deal registration protection, which is great. And then we also are piping through all of our enablement materials, our marketing materials, training and certification materials, and we're always looking for ways to continue to expand how we get more out of the partner portal. But that is really the first stop for a reseller partner to build all of the skills and capabilities to take Launch Monitor to market and also interact with our sales team. And then finally, we do offer MDF, marketing development funds. Right now, this is on a case-by-case, request basis, and we are getting out there in the field in earnest. David never sees his family anymore. He's literally in the field, pretty much every week it seems. And so we're doing all sorts of activities, whether it's professional sports ball games, doing events there, getting a suite or whatever. Or we did a fantastic event with Optum recently as a chief wine officer event, where we had, I think it was like 15 VPs or CIOs of Fortune 500 companies. It was insane. I've never seen this many decision makers of large enterprises show up to this type of event, and it was a really great event where we drank some great wine. So those types of things, we're doing that constantly. In fact, I'm like approving. These Michaela knows because she has to put them all into action. I'm approving field events like left and right because this is what we want to be in the field. We want to be selling in the field with our partners. Okay, so I want to give a little bit of a snapshot, a little bit of a tease of kind of where we're going with the program. So I'm not making any announcements or rolling anything out right now, but we know that we really were the tip of the iceberg when we built this channel program a couple of years ago. It was all about getting traction, throwing a bucket of spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks kind of thing. Build some data, understand, learn from our partners, so on and so forth. And so we are transforming into our next level of maturation from a channel program as we go into the quarters and year to follow. And so some things you'll see, and we've heard a lot from our current reseller partners, that the rev share model is great, but we would love to be able to have more of a rebate kind of program in certain ways too. So that's one thing we are looking to incorporate as we go into probably early next year, if not end of this year, where we can actually do our origination bit is really more of a back-end rebate, which is a percentage of the TCV of the deal. And then, of course, the margin can be based then on specific activities that you can do during the sales cycle, like demo, POV, and fulfillment. So net is that as valuable or valuable rev share or more valuable rev share going forward, but it enables you to have that lump sum up front for originating on a 3-year deal versus metering that out over year. And a lot of times the financials on a rebate program work in the favor of the partner. So that's something we're looking to put together and implement. We're going to be getting more and more feedback from our top reseller partners now over the next 6 months before rolling it out. But I wanted to kind of tease that out. This is where our head's at, where we're thinking. And then also, you guys may know that we have a very much sales territory aligned channel sales group. And so they're really more embedded in the field. And they're still going to have that level of interaction with our field sellers going forward, but there's not as much emphasis on the specific partner management, especially when we have partners that have multiple routes today. So examples are like CDI's got a fantastic resale business or motion, but also a really great MSP motion after buying HA services last year or 2 years ago now, but we kind of manage those two ends of it separately today. Well, we'd like to be able to just get to a point where we can start having that consistent, management over that type of partner relationship, so that we can put all of our best resources to kind of guide along that partner maturation life cycle. So those are some examples where we want to kind of consolidate and streamline our channel programs to facilitate that. So that'll require from us enhanced enablement capabilities, dedicated partner resources, and then of course another aspect of that is a streamlined MDF process. So where our partners will actually understand based off of revenue or certifications or a combination therein. So in other words, program criteria, what percentage of MDF they'll be awarded in that period or year, and then be able to go and then facilitate and use that MDF via the partner portal. So these are some of the things that we are working towards and going to be enacting into our channel program over the coming couple of quarters. And I'd love to get more feedback from our current reseller partners and partners at large on what they'd like to see in regards to this type of stuff. So what I always end every single partner seller call with, and I encourage my CAMs to do the same, and our field sellers, is these kind of 3 takeaways of why should a partner seller do business with Lodge Monitor. One, we've got a market-leading product in a hot market. So you guys are going to hear a ton of data tomorrow about why this market is so hot, why we're partnering with the CIO, why the CIO and VP of IT Ops is so interested in observability tools and the outcomes of that. So it is a very, very hot market, and we feel we're really well positioned, coming from an infrastructure background and getting into logs and APM with the type of model that we have. It's just a really, really strong mix for how we're going and taking this to market. So leading product in a hot market. Co-sell with up to 25% rev share. I mean, that is a lower barrier to entry than most vendor solutions, with really attractive margins, and or the potential for really attractive margins. And then, as Michael alluded to, 70+% consistently quarter after quarter win rate from POV. So what does that mean? Low barrier to entry, great margin, potential for margins, and a high win rate with a great product. So I mean, this is kind of a winning combination. So I really, sometimes I question, like, why would anybody not be a reseller of Lodge Monitor? But anyway, most people are that learn about the program. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about the MSP program. So a lot of the benefits of the MSP program for folks, so this will be redundant for folks that have been talking about these benefits for the last few hours, but if you don't have an MSP practice today, these are some of the benefits that our MSP partners are realizing today. All right. Again, market-leading, SaaS-based, agentless, and multi-tenant solution. When our founder's story was not building a better MSP management solution, it really wasn't that. Some folks will know years and years ago, our primary founder was a guy named Steve Francis, and he built the solution actually to help him in his job when he was just managing hyperscale data centers when he was in the ad space. When that was a really, really hot space years and years ago. So really he built it to be agentless and SaaS-based to be able to make his job easier because he was just sick and tired of maintaining legacy monitoring solutions. The terminology back then was monitoring sucks, but Lodge Monitor will suck less. That's what we used to say all the time. What happened though was because he built it to be SaaS-based and agentless is in multi-tenant, is that the MSP market just really adopted it really quickly because they're all about time to value, they're all about agility, they're all about operational efficiency. So it was a natural kind of pivot for us to start to adopt and sell more and more to MSPs and then see that as a viable channel for us going forward. So that's still true to this day. Integrations we have into the MSP toolkit, whether that's your professional services automation platforms, your ITSM, your automation, we're always enhancing those integrations as well. Having a dedicated MSP account manager in CSM, you'll see a number of the CSMs in the room and a lot of them around tomorrow as well. And if you haven't seen your account manager, they're probably either here or their managers are here or whatnot. These folks are dedicated to your success from an MSP standpoint and enabling your growth there. Competitive MSP pricing. So if you don't know MSPs, because they're layering on, their product margin as well as services on top, they are automatically getting a 25%, discount off of the enterprise pricing that we would sell to an end customer to be able to layer on their margin and services on top of that. Typically, they're doing a full boat of services on top of just the license itself. So it's an attractive way to kind of get in. You guys may know that we're doing 12 to 13 product releases per year, so it's about every 4 to 5 weeks. So you're always up to date on the latest technology. You're not having any downtime.